Well, good evening, everyone, and happy Friday. I hope everybody had a good week and is settling in for the weekend. As always, let me know that you can hear me whenever this comes through. I was looking at the feed on YouTube on my phone, and it's doing something weird on my phone, so not sure what's going on with that. But just let me know that you can hear me, and welcome in, Split Rock. You get the virtual cookie. Appreciate you coming in and hanging out. Hey, Mom, welcome in. All right, so let's get started. So, health update, on the mend. Little by little every day I'm getting better. Still have a little bit of the cough, so you might hear that tonight. But we're going in the right direction, which means I didn't get a lot done. I've started on the project for my mother in about 5 or 6 weeks here. I'll be traveling out to Chicago on my annual trip to visit my mom at her International Dollhouse Miniature Show. And of course, she has a project that I am working on for her. So how about we get some light? That's much better. So here's the first test print. This is not my design. This is somebody else's. But working on shelf brackets for dollhouse size. So it'll definitely be different color. Looking to get it more intricate than this. And I used a larger nozzle, so I'll be able to use a smaller nozzle and get finer detail. So the work has started on that. So, and I've got a couple of orange things to show you. That's because that's the latest filament that I have. So when I'm prototyping, it doesn't matter what color I use for the prototyping piece. Welcome in, Gopher Girl. She is now, it took a while, but she now caught whatever I got. And so she's probably downstairs right now coughing up a lung herself. So that's where she's at. So she may be in and out of the chat with us. Couple things to catch up on. So this is the bridge where we know that we have trouble right in here where it breaks all the time. This stuff is too soft, even though I let it dry for days. Just pulling it out of here without stretching this still broke it. And all of the advice online went to using white glue, PVA glue. And so normally I would use Aleene's, but I went full PVA and I went back to the old trustworthy Elmer's Glue All because it's a stronger formula than like the regular white glue. And it's pretty thick glue and it worked. This is pretty solid. Here. And so now what I'll need to do with this is just pull together some more plaster and fill that in, and then fill this side in. This is going to be the side that I'll carve. And so this is going to have carved rocks coming around here, kind of standing up, and then one sideways, and then all in here. So that'll take some time to do. This was pretty straightforward because this is straight across. I didn't have to do anything with the angles. The other thing we'll want to do is carve the rocks underneath here, because if you look at the bridge, it's rocks all the way through. So underneath you'll be able to see that as well. So we'll have to model that. Anyway, so that's working on the achievement program stuff. That's one of the projects I started on, was this one, or worked on, I should say, this weekend. It was mostly last weekend. The other one is, I showed you this last week. So I started prototyping this and getting the measures out. And this is actually not far off. The actual size is not far off of the model from this printout. I could shrink this printout just slightly more and it'll be exact, but I don't need to do that because I have all the measurements here. So it'll need more design on the end, obviously, but I've got the ends in there. And I went back to this trusty old guy to get the angles here. So I was actually doing the angles right on here. I was trying to measure the angles like this to get that in, and it was like 32 degrees or something like that. And I was able to use this. So this is going to be a handy tool because we'll want to make sure we do these angles. You can also do the inside so you don't get this rounded area. Either way works, and it looks like the angles are the same. However, when you look at the model and it goes down in, it actually fans out more to hold the coils. Let's see if I have a view of that. Let's see. Oh, and the other thing I'll have to show you is the underside is going to be very different too. The underside of this one, I can't use this. So here is the flat car underside. Yep, Jimmy, this has become very helpful, although it's hard to do with smaller models. But I haven't found a small one smaller than this. This one I got at Harbor Freight. And I think, was it Jimmy, was it you who had mentioned it? I think a long time ago. But I really like using it. I was using this. I did a shell. I started the shell of an Amtrak engine, and it had a short nose, but it had an angle on that nose. So it had an angle going this way, but it was a short nose. So this was a little big for that, but it gave me a start. And so I've been able to use it with other stuff. So even with the extended coupler arms, you can see how much smaller in size this is. This is 55.5 feet. This one's going to be, this one's technically 39 feet. Outside of the coupler arms. With the coupler arms, it's a little over 46 feet. And then with the couplers, it's actually 49 feet. But you can see how much smaller it will be. But that's our start that we got. And then these are way off, but I struggled with the bolsters on here. And so I wanted to make sure I followed the prototype, but got a solid setup. And I did start with just the ends. So here's like the first thing I printed. Here's the ends. I don't know, you can't really see that, but those were angled. And then, and so then I put that together with the floor. The other thing I want to work into this is to, is the weights. So because this is a smaller car, I mean, right now I only have this. I have this set at 1 millimeter thick, but we might have to add some depth in there because here's my trusty car weights that I use. So we'll want to get those in. Now, one of the things I could do with these is you certainly can angle them in here. We'll have to find a way to handle this, and it might mean a thicker floor. But I'm wondering if I can maybe get them somehow underneath the tranches there, and we'll see how much weight it's going to need. I think it's going to need a lot. So from a evaluation standpoint for the achievement program, I don't need the weights. And the flat car that I won Best in Show with and got a merit award on had no weights on it. It was lighter than light could be. But but for functionality, I'll want to figure out a way to get weights in there. And where is it? Okay, so let me see if I can share this real quick here. Let me see if I can find it. I want to show you the underside of this. Let me find the right place where I have it. It's that. Okay. So we're going to go back to here. All right. So here's the underside of the car. This is the tangent model. And so it's got a very different underside center sill setup, where you have just these two center sills here on this one, and you have thick cross beams. This one you have very thin cross beams, very small, and they come up on the ends and on these. So this may be tough to design, but we'll see if I can design it with the CAD program. If not, it's going to be styrene, like channel styrene or angle styrene. And the other thing that's really intricate, so the brake details and everything, can be commercial and all of that. And I can print these out. I have copies of them. They would still be considered commercial because I didn't design them. But I did find that CalScale Models makes the Hydra cushion frame. Normally, I think most of their older stuff was brass or cast metal or something along those lines, but this one is plastic. So and this one so this one has the coupler pockets, the coupler arms that come off of the car. It then has a center spring piece, and then it has all the brake pieces in here. It also comes with side ladders, so we can see how those may help us either on this car or on the gondola. Anyway, so we'll have to see. These have end ladders on them, but here is the setup for it. So the coupler pockets would come out on the ends, so the bolster can be in there, and then the framing of everything through here, and the center setup, and then it tells you where to put the brake pieces and everything. So I will hold on to this. I got this at the local hobby shop. So we'll hold on to this for when we get to that point. But it's just a start. So, but this is very different, so it'll be a new challenge. I think the sides are an easy part of the challenge, and the base are easier. And once I got the angle, those were easier. as well. I think the tranches will be difficult. Finding places for the weight will be difficult, and the underside will be difficult. Let me see if I can share a different. Let's see, let's try. See if I can find what I'm looking for. Got a bunch of things open. And oh, there we go. So this one is download. So let's see if. All right. So here's a closer up picture of the underside, and what the reason the reason those are there is I was working on the bolsters here, and trying to figure those out and give it some girth on there, and trying to figure out the sizes and everything. And I'm guessing on these sizes a little bit. And you can also see the much smaller cross beams to deal with, and how they kind of are not, they don't seem real supportive, to be honest. So but that's as far as I got on this. And Gopher Girl and I share a computer, and she's back working and everything, and so most of the week she ends up with the computer, so I haven't been able to sit in front of it. And then I have that job thing that I've been trying to get rid of forever, but Gopher Girl says I can't, so I keep doing that thing. So the other thing I wanted to do tonight was see if anybody wanted to jump on so I could try having a guest on. And I thought that maybe, not to put you on the spot, Split Rock, but maybe talk about the modelers meet coming up, if you want. So this is supposed to be the link to invite. So if somebody does want to come on and talk about their model railroading, I'd love to have you on. And if we want to talk about the modelers meet, I'd love to have you talk about that too. I certainly have my say in that. And one of those things I got to figure out this week is what I'm going to bring with me. The one thing that I do want to bring, which I forgot to bring with me last year, was the abandoned depot. So I figure I want to bring that out. I'll probably bring out the flat car that I merited with, and then we'll see some other things. I haven't touched the passenger cars in a little while. I haven't touched the cab car, which has a loose wire I need to get soldered back on, and then I need to get some help from Lou again on the programming piece, because of the decoder that's in there. And it's eventually I do want to change that decoder out for a motor decoder, but got to figure out what to bring. So I've brought a bunch of stuff. I don't have that much new stuff to bring that I've been working on because things have been working slowly. So most of what I would bring have been in have been there to the show already, and I'd rather bring some new and different stuff. Yep. Yeah, they are. And I got a lot of questions last year on that. People say they don't want to learn a new tool, but they're very interested in 3D printing. There's a lot of, we got a lot of questions about the 3D printed stuff that I brought. I had little cards and descriptions and things, and so that was somewhat helpful. And I brought my plans. I brought some of the plans for the layout for the NMRA stuff. I should bring my NMRA folder, make sure I get the get some of the stuff signed off on, like some of the author stuff signed off on, which for members of the of the region, the Fusey came out, and you should have gotten that in your email. And I have another model railroad primer in there. All of you that are repeat offenders here are privy to what's in there. I did a primer on the hairspray technique because when I posted it online in Facebook and all different groups, everyone asked, well, what is the hairspray technique? I thought most people knew it, and they didn't seem to know it. So I put some pictures together of the progress on that, and wrote up the process because I was sick of writing it up in every group in on Facebook. So hopefully that helps people. It's a little 7-pager. It's another chock full of stuff. And let's see. And it has, regular columns now, like the model railroad primer, and it has some feature articles and things like that in there. So go check that out in your email inbox. If you're not finding it, make sure to check your spam folders. But it will be out there. Because I know you want to I know that you all want to only read my article in there. So if you go to pages 24 through 29, it's model railroading primer, hairspray technique, and but of course there are some other good things in there. As well. Looks like there's a bunch of pictures from the operators retreat as well in there. An article by Dan Dosa. He does a regular article in there. Creating super trees, it looks like, or creating trees. And then article on 3D printing for replacement gears, what's on your workbench. And much, much more. So let's go out for a second here while we got lots of stuff going on. We're going to go out to you would think I could get right there. But it's out on our website, the information for the modelers meet. You can go out here. Let's place this. If you want to go out there on your own to take a look at it. It's out there. It's at a new location in Roseville, Minnesota, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And not only are we going to have our usual meet where we're going to have a room full of models and talking and donuts and coffee and fun. There are also clinics, and we're adding in now skill sharing tables where anybody can come in and share their techniques. And so I'm excited to see what people bring for techniques there. And they do, they call it a railroad prototype meet, but you don't have to be into a prototype. You bring your models, like Tom said. Even models in progress are great because people will ask you questions of how you got there, and so I suppose I have to register. I haven't done that. There's a list of presentations. Clark Probst, I've watched many of his presentations, both here in the Michiana division meets, and he does an excellent job. Alan Satkamp, I've heard him talk on Raised Around the Layout podcast. He's been on there a couple of times. He's fun to listen to. The Real Men at Railroading will be an interesting one where we'll have engineers and folks working on the railroad talking to us. And so it's looking like a lot of fun. And you'll see some pictures from previous meets on there as well, with some information about last year's. But lots to do. This is probably my second favorite event, but I'm excited about the let's see. We got a couple people. Let's bring them in. It looks like Jimmy wants to come on and Tom Splitrock wants to come on. So I'm going to try this and we're going to see what happens. Let me see if we can get. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me. There we go. Welcome.
Hey.
Tom, welcome in.
All righty. Can you guys see?
Yes, we can.
All right. Very cool. Very cool.
Now let me get rid of my share. Get that out. And whoa, So I'm trying. I want to just make me small, but this doesn't give me the option. It's either too or small or. So, let's see. Whoa! No, how do I switch those around? Interesting. Let's see.
Now play with it. It's first time. We'll all learn.
Yeah. I'm not doing a very good job though.
It doesn't matter. It's your first time. Jimmy and I are good for practice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ask our wives.
I want to see what if I do this.
There's Jimmy. All right.
Yeah. Now I'm big. Tom's small.
And you're gone, Dan. He left us.
Yeah.
All right. It's the Jimmy show. Jimmy's got a band. And
yeah. Right.
You going to Chattanooga, Jimmy, or what are you going to do this year for train shows? I know you like going to different ones each year.
Oh yeah. Last year was great. I did one every month. Tom Garza, when he was on Ray's show, he said that I was trying to get to a show in every state, but that was not last year's goal. But
yeah,
that might be a future one.
That'll take a couple seasons.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one in every state. It might be tough to find one in Montana or Idaho, but I'm sure there is.
There is in Montana, I know for sure. But no, this year is going to be a little bit more subdued on the travel, but I am registered for, got to send my check in for the Thousand Lakes region convention in May. But that'll be fun. I'm going to that one alone. And then Joy may go with me to Chattanooga. And that'd be fun. I've never been to a national convention.
I hope Joy goes with. I hope Joy goes to Chattanooga because Diana and I are going. She can hang out with you guys. Hang out with us. You guys are always great company. And
yeah,
I know Ken Ziska's going, and I think Dave Hamilton his nephew lives down there.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, there she is.
Joy and Di can compete at national crafts.
So can you guys hear me?
Now we can, yeah.
Okay. All right, just making sure. I guess if I disappear the camera, it disappears the sound too. For some reason, and I don't know why. So looking at your background, tell us about your whole setup there. I know you like painting is one of your things, but you have quite the setup there.
Yeah, this is kind of my workbench for model railroading, and it's underneath my existing layout, which is a very small 5x6, or as I like to call it, a highly scenic DCC programming track. But my workbench is underneath, so I raised it up. It was a little bit shorter, and I am getting older and more difficult to get in and out, so I raised it up a couple inches. But I got my desk chair under here and keep my paints and a bunch of little bins with parts and whatnot and shelves in front of me. And then, 3D printer, airbrush station.
Is that a resin printer?
Yeah, it's a Photon, Anycubic Photon. It's several years old now, but it does what I need to just fine. Usually I have it make windows for me. It's a lot easier than doing 040 or 030 strip to make windows. I can just put something in Tinkercad and have it shoot out there and Yeah.
Is that a portable airbrush booth behind you?
It is. Yeah, it's one that folds up and looks like a little Samsonite suitcase. And actually, I've never traveled with it. It just sits back here. I suppose maybe someday I'll take it on the road with me.
I brought mine
thing
to
that
the
I
last.
made. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just say I brought mine to the last convention. I didn't
Okay.
use it, but I brought it with because it's the same thing. Just like a suitcase, it folds right up.
Yeah, it's pretty handy. And I only airbrush water-based stuff down here, acrylics. So I made it doesn't vent outside, but I have it vent into a box. Instead of a blue tub, it's a gray tub, but I've modified it to filter the air through cat litter and charcoal filters. And it seems to work, but anything that's oil-based or a rattle can that goes out in the garage with the door open and better ventilation, I wouldn't try to do that down here.
Yeah. Right behind where I have my setup is the window. So I vented it out there. But in the wintertime, when you're trying to do it, it gets so cold. You can't even get shaky when I'm trying to paint. It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes I cheat and I don't open the window, but I only use acrylics too. I don't use enamels or those other ones.
Yeah, that's a very nice workstation, Jimmy. I like how you have it organized. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad right now because I finished one project and started another. So in between, I clean up quite a bit.
You finished the project. That's not realistic.
Well, nothing is ever 100% finished, but it gets to that point on the checkoff list that it's time to just stop messing with it and move on to the next thing.
I get antsy if I have if I have a project and I say it's finished, because I'll go back and I'm like, it's not finished. There's this, and then there's this, and crazy.
Oh yeah.
See if we can maximize Tom for a second so we can see his layout.
Yeah, okay. You guys want to see what I've been doing here with the night?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Because I've added lights
for a while.
So this is what I've been working on, and I'll turn out the lights here in a second. But this is the city of Agate Bay.
Even with the lights on, it looks impressive with the lighting.
Let me shut up these other lights, and I'll take you guys over to see the loons and things. But I was gonna be on the layout tour, but it's right when my wife has her knee surgery. So we'll see. So this I'm working on over here. This is the yard office, Agate Bay, and then this is the town. And the pain was adding each building has rooms and walls, because I didn't want to do the one bulb thing in there that lights up the whole building. So I had to darken the walls, and those are all individual, like woodland scenic bulbs. And I got the streets in. I got to weather those up. I got to weather the sidewalks yet, but I had to do the street lamps on the sidewalk. And there's my neon sign. You can see it says live bait for my Erickson store, the gas station, the liquor store. And there's Moe's with his chase lights. And then the rest of the town. So the town here is pretty lit up. You got Zeska military surplus. And then
one of those buildings.
Lights on the ore dock. And then lights up at the mine. Okay, so what's your question? One of those buildings there?
On one of the first buildings you had, one of the lights was flashing, so all the way over to the left.
Yep. Because it's woodland scenic, so you can make it so they turn on and off.
So and that's with the Just Plug system,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So how did you set that one turn on and off?
So here's my Just Plug mess that'll be covered up. And the yellow ones you can set sequencing on, and then these go out to regular lights, and you can set the dim. So Just Plug is power, goes up to these, and then you can set those to sequencing and stuff. So all of these are dimmable. a lot of the bulbs I use Tamiya clear paint.
Mm-hmm.
And so I changed the temperature on them so they'll look different colors.
Yeah, nice.
You know, so everything's not the same LED.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't know that you could set them up to flash like that. I thought you could just dim them.
No, yeah, they have a whole sequencing light hub.
Oh, so it's a separate hub. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And then you power off that, and then you can set up to 4. Well, you can do more, because the thing about Woodland Scenics is each one of these plugs, you can put 3 lights in, sometimes 4. And so it'll save you. You don't have to buy 10,000 of those, plugins. You can save some money. That's the Borowski Travel Agency. And I'll have some Binish, I'll have Dan Cohen's Art Supplies, and I'll have, Jimmy and his wife have a craft shop. But here's, because it's 1969. So, of course, we got a Kodak photo booth. We got an agate shop. This is actually a furrier. If you can see the sign, but they furs in there. And then this is the Buster Brown. I'll turn on the lights. You can see it. But it's like I got a Buster Brown shop. You can see it that Greg Dahl made.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these things are very nice, nice downtown deco buildings. That's the thing I had to get like nicer structures than my cardboard ones. That's a downtown deco building. And the sidewalks. And then this is a 3D print with scratch built sign that I made for when Erickson's became Holidays. And the old 1970 pump selling 49-cent gas. So, and then this is the Hamilton modification. So he's got his bender tools and Moe's, the bar and camera club. And there's Zeska Military Surplus. And then I'll put names down there. So room for Dan and Jimmy and Joy and everybody down here.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, this is kind of my inspiration. This was a postcard, basically Hibbing and Chisholm, the one stripe road, and that's all weather the road.
Oh, neat.
This is gasket material for engines, cork gasket material that painted. It's pinstripe, and then I use like a flat coat to seal it. I got the old classic Greyhound bus.
I don't think anybody does a road the same way.
No one does. There's my signs, and I can change the fire danger on that too. And I just hide the end of my road with trees. I'll put more trees in there, and then I'll hide the end down here with that big building, and then that'll be scenery and trees going towards Duluth that way. And
So when are you going to light up all of your ore pins?
That'll be good. I should put fluorescent ones on those. Yeah, I could put fluorescent ones on those. Lighten them up. But yeah, it was kind of nice the last couple of days. I cleaned up. I still got to have the skirting back on, but I cleaned up my layout enough to run it. And that's what I've been finally running it. I got my new track cleaner out, and hopefully I can have some operation sessions and some layout tours, have you guys over. I said I may not be on the tour itself, but if you guys say, hey, I'm free Saturday, you can come on over or something like that. I kind of like those little stop-bys and stuff. So yeah, I'm working on the engine facility back there. I got to put lights in. I got the fuel cranes. And all those concrete, those all come out. They're just held on by magnets. So I can pull these all out and weather them and do everything on the workbench and then put it back in there. And I got the little scratch-built buildings back there. And then those are patterned right off of work. And I've been putting lighting in my cabooses, the Rapido cabooses, but I kind of like the blinky lights. So I've been putting magnetic reed switches on there.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can light up each end, and then when it gets to the end of the road, you can just turn it off. So some of the things I've been adding. But yeah, so that's what's new is just lighting, which was really a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody says, should I do it? I say no, but you know, it kind of adds to it. It's kind of nice at night to see, you know, see the beacons going and things like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but I was saying earlier, even with the lights on, you could see the lights, so it's almost like a dusk thing. It looks nice anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so your engines will look good running in light also with their beacons
Right.
going.
With the beacons and things like that. And the city, you know, kind of adds to it now. It
Yep.
seems more alive,
Mhm.
you know, with lights than the old plastic buildings or, you know, cardboard lifeless ones. And the ore dock, I've got lights that'll add down here on the walkway down here. And then I've got my ore boat will have lights on it too. That'll be, you know, have its own power supply. I can turn on and off. You know, so it's kind of like the chase lights here at Moe's. I'm like, I don't want them on all the time, so I just put a button on the roof.
Ah,
You know,
right.
don't have to have the annoying lights going the whole opposition. And so yeah, that's what I've been up to, and just trying to get back to running trains and cleaning up and stuff.
Are you going to put mirrors on those ends to blend them in?
No, I'm just gonna hide them. You know, like normal standing, you won't see the end of the road. You know, get rid of the wires and stuff. I got to put in a new crossing up here. My old crossing, the flashers died, so I picked up this Walter's Scene Master one from Scale. And then, like over here, like I said, you won't see it either because I'll just put in more trees, and that's you know going up the North Shore because that's Highway 61. You know, we've all driven up that road, and most people when they operate don't look at that anyway. So it's just kind of whatever they see. But yeah, bit by bit.
Did you operate during the operators retreat?
No, I took some people around. I went around to visit to make sure everything was going well.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple layouts. I went to Dan Dosa's. I went to Dave Hamilton's, and I checked in because my layout was torn apart till about 3 days ago. And but it was really nice to go. I'm glad we do that. We'll probably do it like every other year from now on.
Mhm.
We kind of talked about it. It's kind of interesting. We'll do some other operation things. I'm going to do some operation clinics like on Saturday. I might do some dispatching and donut clinics, some hands-on dispatching stuff for people to learn about different aspects of that. And then we'll, you know, skills day and things like that.
MinRail is every other year too, right?
Correct.
So
Yep.
then if we do it opposite, then we have an event every year that's operations based.
Yeah, that might be it. You might go opposite of MinRail. MinRail's every other year because of lacrosse. That prairie rail, you know, does that. See if I can change this around to me. There we go. Yeah, prairie rail is every other year. So that's why MinRail kind of takes a back seat.
Is that a larger event than MinRail?
No, it's about the same size. There's a lot of layouts in lacrosse and really a lot of nice layouts, you know, and so we had to kind of divvy it up.
Gotcha.
And I think there's, you know, probably a dozen or 20 layouts within, you know, that many miles of lacrosse, especially like the Stearns, you know, they built the CB&Q layout that takes 30 people. You know, they have like 2 dispatchers. You know, it's quite a monstrosity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the modelers meet. We got some really good clinics. We'll have great displays. It's a great location. We have it for after. I hope everybody sticks around and hangs out. We're going to have, like I said, a freelance forum. We're going to have, they call it the Real Men of Railroading, but I've got a panel of 4 prototype railroaders that you can ask questions of, that people, you know, what question would you want to know to help your layout from a prototype railroad, you know, scenery wise, operations wise, how things work, how they do this, that I kind of think that's, well, you know, and they'll ask them ahead of time, so we're not going to surprise them. And I'm going to run it so it's not a story time, because railroaders tend to go off on, well, it was one trip to L2, you know, and I'm like, no, just answer the question. So I'll have index cards out for people to ask questions ahead of time, and
Oh, nice.
and then we'll have a freelance forum, and we'll discuss the good and bad things about doing a freelance railroad and how to make it more realistic. You know, the split rock and the carrot terminal, and we're going to highlight David Voss's Cumberland Northern. Have either of you guys been to David Voss's house?
No.
We'll have to get you over there. His layout, I mean, he's been building his layout since the 50s. Seriously.
Yep.
And he operates every Wednesday, but he does hold special sessions. And sometimes if we can only get like 4 or 5 guys, we'll just run the coal. He models an Appalachian coal hauler.
Okay.
And it runs like a Swiss watch, and it's fun and it's simple, and it's so yeah, I'll try and work on getting, if you guys want to try operating and see another layout. His is definitely one in the Twin Cities we're seeing.
Oh yeah.
And he's very gracious. He's such a gracious person.
Yeah.
We were over there photographing it for night. But yeah, we'll have a freelance thing, and we'll talk. The people from home shops have donated some prizes and stuff. I don't know. What are you modeling, Jimmy? Don't you have a freelance line, or is it Great Northern, or?
No, it's pretty much freelance. It's based sort of on Chicago Great Western, but I don't have any prototype areas, but I like their equipment, so I kind of go off of that.
Do you have any equipment or anything made or modeled up for your freelance? Because we're asking people to bring it. We want to show off something from your freelance railroad, and then, you know, you can talk about how here's what the Chicago Great Western did. You know, taking their numbering scheme or their engines or this and that, and applying it to, you know, my Chicago Great, you know, whatever you're calling it. So
yeah, no, I
don't bring that.
I don't have anything quite that advanced with it yet. It's still, you know, the operations part of it I got into much later in the sort of design phase, so I didn't have a plan for that. But I'm thinking I'm gonna make it as if the Chicago Great Western continued on. It never got absorbed into Chicago Northwestern and just became a more local railroad. So
nice.
We'll see. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Because I always liked the Chicago Great Western. I love the Jeep 30s and the SD40s and the red engines, and you know, running on portions of the Great Western, you know, where I work is kind of nice. State Street and Hoffman and everything was all Great Western property. So I can kind of see how that could take you over, because and all those F units. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that go into the 70s and the 80s, you know, with SD40-2s and things like that. You know, the Jeep 7. So I think that's freelancing too, you know, taking a railroad and dragging it into the future.
Well, it's all,
get absorbed.
You know, everything is storytelling and modeling. I mean, even if you take the prototype, you can't possibly model, you know, a realistic, you know, inch to foot section. You know, it's got to be compressed, but you know, you still have to tell the story somehow.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to come up with a fantasy of a real railroad, you know, why not? I like when people do that. I can't get bent out of shape. I don't know any railroad that well to nitpick. And that's really not, for me, it's not fun. I mean, it's great when people know the history of something and they're willing to share that. And I think that's great. And it's so fun when people do model a real thing. But even the freelance stuff, I mean, you can fool me because I don't know. But when people have that story behind what they're modeling, that's where it really, it's fun to see, you know, people's imagination and what they can come up with.
Yeah. Oh, the story, that's what gets me at a layout. If I can buy into your story.
Yeah.
And there's some great people who model a prototype railroad that are freelancers. Dave Bailey's and his Onondaga Cutoff.
Yep.
You know, Conrail down to the Rivet, but they never had track through there. So, you know, it's like, and then the so-and-so's BNSF Fall River Branch. You know, BNSF down to the Rivet, but they never had this, and it looks like Montana. And I can buy that story, you know. I think that's, I like that. I don't get bent out of shape. That's what makes it believable. If you have a good story, and just say, hey, the Great Western never merged. They fought off the C&W, and you know, maybe them and the Rock Island formed a deal, or them and the Milwaukee Road, you know, filled in.
Oh yeah.
I nod a lot at the modelers meet, because I'll have somebody come up and start talking about an engine, and I'll have no idea anything about the engine, and I just nod and let them talk. And I've picked up a few things. I'm still shaky on all of it, but yeah, I nod a lot.
Yeah, that's why I think, Dan, like you would love going to, you know, put that on your bucket list. You guys go to Springfield or Amherst, because it's all East Coast people. It's all Central New Jersey, and you could relate to, you know, all these people talking about the trains trying to get into New York City, you know, from the milk trains up north to Central New Jersey commuters to all that stuff is just amazing out there. You know, you don't see any Union Pacific or Great Northern or Burlington or anything out there. You couldn't find a Chicago Great Western even on the sales table in the flea markets. It's crazy. You know, that it's everything east of Chicago or east of Pittsburgh even.
Yeah. I've been out to, when timing is right, I've been back out there. I've been to the Greenberg shows.
Yeah.
And it's almost all like O-scale stuff now on those tables there and stuff. But even for my specifics, it's still too modern for most modelers for what I'm looking for. So it's still hard even out east for me to find stuff. Because I'm trying to do 80s and 90s, and that's still too modern. But yes, it's there's so much more commuter passenger rail out east, and modelers who know it. The Northeast is just filled with modelers. It just
the modular layout with the Northeast Corridor modular layout is worth the price of admission. You know, I spend an hour at that in Springfield just watching the trains from the GG1s to the Am fleets to the Acellas that they run on that. But it's gorgeous. It's like something we don't see. It's something you're not going to see here at all.
Well, if I ever get my ass in gear, maybe. Because that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. So I was looking at my two modules again. And because I used, like, I think it was 1/2-inch board, it'll be a little awkward to get the foam and put over that. So I don't know if I just need to tear out the middle of it and so that I could get the 1-inch foam in there. But if I'm going to do anything, it's probably going to be on those two modules.
Yeah. But that's good enough for your prototype scene.
Yeah.
Which goes towards a lot of APs. You can put structures, you can put rolling stock, you can do it's your square footage for scenery, you know, it's electrical. The thing about prototype scene, I recorded a podcast with Greg Terhart. He's building one that it applies. You can use all the things to apply to other APs. So it's really cool to try and build that scene.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. So I just got to move myself and make it happen.
Well, I think what you're doing here on Friday nights, I mean, it's fun for us when we're sitting here modeling, but you know, it's really it's the good motivation for you.
It's
put
exactly
yourself
why
on
I
a
started
schedule.
it. Yep.
It forces you to do something.
Because otherwise you'd all be bored and never show up again.
Yeah. No, but Jimmy's right. Having these live streams is like, I gotta have something new for the guys. You know, open up a tool or print something, and you know, even if it's something you did for your mom, but show us how you did and what you would change. I always like that. You're like, well, if I did it again, which is to me is the heart of modeling, right? You always build this, and then you're like, Okay, next time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd have 3 of every building I've ever built if I did that.
Yeah.
But it's taking that, okay, next time I encounter this on a different structure, I'm going to take that tweak and move it. Well, and even, talking about roads, so you're using the gasket material, and I think Kanziska has done that as well. I haven't quite gotten to that point, but I have tried plaster, the Woodland Scenics plaster, styrene,
Yep.
and then my newest thing has been the cosplay foam, like the foam
Oh
sheet,
yeah.
and I'm just experimenting with it, and I had really good results. So I mean, there's all sorts of different ways. I may not continue on with that for my next module, but it's worth a try. Maybe I'll do the gasket material in the next section.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. That's almost a clinic. What what people use for roads is like, how do you ballast? But yeah, I would like to see how that cosplay foam takes paint or pastels or something. How do you weather it or add stripes and things like that? Because there's so much of it, and it's so functional. That was a great idea. To be honest, I would, if I was making a road as long as I do here, I would not use this gasket material again. I had a styrene road and I was happy with it, but I wanted to try the gasket because it looked more like asphalt. But on Dan Dosa's used it really well is on little segments. And to have it this long and this many things, I'm like, I don't think I would do this again. I would use styrene unless I was building a module and I wanted a crossing right there. That's a foot.
I tried
that's
foam.
something to learn.
I tried foam, but I tried the soft foam that was at Michael's, and this was on my N scale layout, and that wasn't very good for roads. So, but it ended up working to be blocks for my city scene had 2 blocks, and they ended up being the square for that, and it was easy to carve the sidewalk, and it stayed even though it was a soft foam, but it didn't work for the roads. And on that one I used the Woodland Scenic system, which is very simple to use.
Oh yeah.
So is Woodland Scenics the plaster then? What is that?
Yeah.
It's hydrocal.
It's the smooth it.
Smooth it, yeah.
Oh, smooth. Okay, smooth it. That's what it is.
And then they have the tape that helps you build your roads the way you want them. And then it's foam tape. And it's already set at the size you need for N scale or HO scale by how much you put on, and works really well. It's messy. You have to do a lot of cleanup, but their paints are good too for that. They have whoa, hey now.
My gimbal's dying here. I might have to check out here.
They have a black top paint, and then they had another gray paint that worked really well. So I found it to be an good. I think it's a good starter system for people until they want to really get specialized, and then they could try other techniques. I ended up using grout on my modules, and it looks really good. But if I wanted to make a change, I'd have to replace the board anyway, because you can't do anything with that grout.
Really?
So it's just solid. I won't even. I don't know what tool you would use
on the ground. Yeah, that's the guy that used the tile stuff like that. All right, I'm gonna check out. I'll keep watching, but my gimbal is dying.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Yep.
So, hey, Brad, welcome in. Nice to have you in here. We're just trying something new, having guests on. I only have a little update because I've been kind of ill, and so just talking about Twin Cities events, and I had some guinea pigs on, and the link is in there if you certainly want to jump in. It's the studio restream link back a ways. If you want to come in and talk about your layout, happy to have you in here. But yeah, just talking about what's going on and what we're working on. So Jimmy, what are you working on right now?
Speaking of scenics, one of the DPM kits, the Walker building, and I don't like the front, the store section. It's just real chunky.
Mm-hmm.
So I built my own storefront out of strip styrene and whatnot, and I think that'll look good. I have a little bit more modern. So that front just, I don't know. I mean, a lot of those DPM kits, the decent detail is held up over the years, but for whatever reason, this thing is just too thick. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Mess with that.
Yeah, I think if you go to enough layouts, sometimes if you have people who don't modify them or paint them differently, you start to see the same buildings, and sometimes that can get a little boring. And so, there are people who 3D print, who design 3D prints models that are just like the DPM, that are really nice, and that's one that I featured, that I printed out. So to give some variety and stuff. And I haven't tried to design one myself though. So that's pretty impressive that you went in and designed it the way you wanted it.
Well, I study modern storefronts. It was a thing that took place during the 1930s. A lot of take advantage of some grant money to update their storefronts.
Yep.
And so I kind of a student of that, and it's really maybe just pulling from running through towns, and I see that sort of thing, and Google Earth, and I drop a little down on the map, and okay, I'll get something that's kind of close. It's coming up with the different city in there that's kind of fun.
So yeah, and my mother actually sent me a picture one day. She said the building that I printed out and I modified it just a little bit, and that was the middle building was a synagogue, because I didn't want to put the windows that they had in there. They didn't look good to me, so I did that. So it was kind of so I modified that, and that was the only piece that I modified. And then she went out and found somewhere a picture of the exact same look to that setup from a small town somewhere. And if the other thing I've been looking at on YouTube are these people who go into these small Midwestern towns and, drive around and show you them. All the buildings are like the DPM models. They're pretty accurate for, for that. And you can basically model anywhere because they're very much similar.
Oh yeah. Well, and the DPM kits were designed by Bob Lundy, who designed a lot of kits for Walthers and Bachman, the Bachman Spectrum buildings, and then of course his own, Lundy Studios as well.
Yep.
So they all have this kind of familiar look, and they all work well together. But it is nice when you recognize, okay, I think that's a DPM kit, but what did they do differently to it? I mean, you can always paint them differently, but I like to see little modifications or kit bashing with them too.
Yeah, to make them, I'm thinking about, there was one video where we go into this dead downtown, and you could tell that one, like a bar, they modified it, when in the Art Deco period. They had a rounded front on one end of it and everything, and it was like that was definitely modified. Then it was modified later, and now it's boarded up and stuff. But that now that you can see those little differences over time is pretty cool.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
Bob, welcome in. Yeah, uh, he likes your neatness of your workbench.
Oh, it's not super neat today, but organized. At least I know where things are. It may not be 100%.
So, yeah, um, yeah, it's a little neater than mine too. I mean, for this to put I have the computer back here, and then
Mm.
my camera area here. This is the only time that this is neat and has you can see the cutting mat. Usually it's got the projects all over it, and I just leave it as
Oh yeah.
is and then come back to work on stuff. Excuse me. But yeah.
Well, that's one nice thing about having a smaller workspace, because I designed this desk, kind of out of components I had around, but I didn't want to make it any larger than necessary. So I'm
Yeah.
forced to keep it clean. So I'll get to a point with a project like I did this morning where I was kind of done with the one I was working on, and then just spent time cleaning the cutting mat and the area around it, putting the tools back, and then starting the next one. Because I mean, even when I was cutting up the styrene for the front, I was going like a madman, and I had bits of styrene and the tools all over, and I like, well, where's my sanding block? I don't know where I dropped that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out like what are good things to have to reach for. So to my left, I'm left-handed, so to my left are the glues I use most, toothpicks, because I use those the most.
Yeah.
I have a sanding block up here to my left, and my knives hanging up there. So they're all, and tape and those and tweezers, and those are all in reach there because those are all the most used things. And trying. I swore I wasn't going to be one of those modelers who's going to buy stuff and overbuy for each project. And I found that when I was like scratch building the flat car, that I had to keep buying styrene, and I bought more, and I found more, and then I'd go to a train show, and I go to where the bins were of all the open styrene. That's $1 or $2, and
Yeah.
I have a ton of styrene I haven't touched, and I've got to find places for it now, and I don't have a lot of room for that. Unlike Bob, who's in our chat, who has a whole workshop that he's building, and
Nice.
building a layout in, and if I don't know if you've seen his work, but he's building his layout on. He's using oil drums as the base to his layout, to his framework. Yeah, because he's got the space to do it, and that's the material he has.
Fun.
So,
yeah, having an overabundance, I have all my styrene strip just off to the right, my right, and I have 3 packages of 196. I don't even know what it is, but when I was looking for my 030 strip today, I found that, and I'm like, why is that on my mind every time I go to Dungeon Hobbies that I need to buy another pack of it?
let's put this up here for a second. So, Bob, you were asking about the modelers meet. So this is in the Twin Cities. This is a little far for you to come, but if you can, you should. But it's our Twin Cities division's railroad prototype modelers meet. But you can see more about that on our website. That's coming up in just a week or two.
Couple weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. So that's the meet where we have your typical room filled with models, but then we have some clinics as well, and we're moving to a new, more exciting space, and so we're going to see how that works this year. But if you happen to be traveling out to the Midwest, then it's a good place to go.
Yeah, I think it's it's been ramping up over the years, and it's gotten better every time, and more people come, and I think
Yeah.
was it Mike Ostertag? He's been here a couple times for it.
Mhm.
We're not to that point where we're like St. Louis or Myrtle
Right.
Beach, but maybe
So
someday we'll get to that.
the first one I attended when I first became a member because of the pandemic was the virtual one. And I was blown away by the fact that Michael Gross showed up to that. All of a sudden he popped
Oh
in
yeah.
during the clinics and he was talking and chatting with people. And I was like, well, this is cool. And so that was my introduction. Then the next year, I just kind of, not knowing people still, I kind of just went to the clinics, and the clinics were great. And there's a full day of clinics. And then I started displaying my own stuff, and then it became all more complicated and involved, but fun.
Yeah, I think it's relaxed enough that if you're a first time modeler or you've never displayed something, it's a very good environment to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've brought stuff to our Twin Cities meet before, but some years I don't, because I know that I'll have enough to look at, and there are enough other people showing stuff that I don't feel like I need to bring something just to fill space. I mean, one year I actually came in, all the tables were full, and I'm like, oh, that's fine. And I just put my model back in the car and spent the rest of the day looking at everyone else's and talking with people about how they were doing their work and picking up tips and just enjoying the environment in the clinics.
Nodding my head a lot. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah.
but that's something that when somebody is enthusiastic about what they're modeling and their passion comes through, I don't really care if it's some railroad I've never heard of, or it's an era that I don't have any knowledge in, but just letting people tell that story is part of the fun of going to those meets.
One of my favorite people that brings stuff and has brought stuff the last couple of years, he only models trucks.
Yep.
And his stuff is great. And, asking him his techniques and stuff. And he likes to talk too. And so,
yes.
So, so you do learn some stuff for sure. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and I think at this new venue, there's probably going to be quite a bit more room. We had really packed that church the last few years, which was great to see. It's so I like that people want to bring stuff and show it off, and let people see what you're working on.
Yep. And one year, Colin brought his 3D printer. That was neat to watch him print stuff while we're there, and so I think we need a 3D printing corner, because there's enough of us who 3D print that we kind of need a corner or something just to hover around and display our stuff and talk 3D printing. And I get it. There are some that don't love to talk about it, because then people just ask them to print stuff. And
hey, I don't mind printing stuff. If you want to give me the STL file that you've created, I'll go ahead and print it. But the magic is really in that time and effort into whatever type of design program. You've had to have really designed it 3 times, in your mind, in your CAD, and then you've printed it and then had to redesign again. But it really isn't intimidating. I think if people were you've got the hardware up front, but like the printer behind me, it's several years old. I don't think I paid more than $200 for it. And the technology is getting better and cheaper, the resolution much higher. And so that threshold is getting lower to get into it. And things like, I use Tinkercad for simple shapes. I know you can get more complex with it, but I've had good luck with it. I had actually ChatGPT make an STL file for me for door handles for another DPM kit, because I have these little flat doors and there's no doorknobs or handles. So I told Chat what I wanted to make, and it made me an STL file. It said, here, copy this out, put it in your slicer, and
Mhm.
Bang, there I got 2 door pulls for my other building. I didn't really have to design that part on my own because that's the part that takes so long for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of another show and somebody showing how to build a bridge in what they called a build along. So it was several segments, and they used Onshape, which is an online
Ah, yeah,
CAD
yep.
tool. And so as I was checking out the different ones out there, I felt like that was easy enough to learn, and the learning curve wasn't too bad, and I got the basics pretty quickly. And I'm like, in order for me to be successful with it, I've got to stick with something. And so I committed to it,
Yeah.
and I'm sticking with it. And every time I build a new model on there, I get better at it, and I learn
Hmm.
new things. And so it's like any other tool to me,
Oh,
that
yeah.
the more you use it, the better you get with it.
Right.
But it still takes a lot of time to design and redesign, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those, yes, you can make it into another sub hobby within the hobby, but I think you can learn enough to get going with it, and then you start making some prints, and then you pick up those little tweaks that each time you do it, you get more efficient at it. So it's, and it's like any other skill. I mean, if you've never built a laser structure before, the first one's going to be intimidating,
Yeah.
but you'll quickly pick it up.
Mhm.
And then by the fifth one, you could almost do them with your eyes closed. But you start developing those skills, and
Yeah.
it's the same. It's the same with 3D printing.
Yep. Yep. And so one of the question came up at one point, like, why do I do so much model railroading with 3D printing? And my reasoning is I will never be as accurate no matter how much I practice because of motor skill issues with cutting styrene. Will never be as accurate as machine cutting. And so for the enjoyment of it, of having a really accurate model, I still do the design piece of it. And
Mhm.
that's very enjoyable to me, to be able to design something to come out just like I was designing it with styrene. Um, I still get the same enjoyment out of that. And that's why I want to do things with 3D printing, just because they'll look better no matter what.
Mhm.
So that's my motivation behind it. Yep, Blender does have a, a learning curve, but like you say,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
getting there, and it's just as you practice it. What did I use? There was the first um, the first editing software I used was open source software, and so it used Inkscape and it used Blender for certain
Oh,
pieces.
okay.
And so I got introduced to Blender, and it used them for titles. It used Blender for titles. And I got introduced to it, but boy, was that intimidating, because that's not its main, function. Um, and then I moved on to other software where I didn't need that, but that was my introduction to that software. I tried Tinkercad, um, and I don't know what frustrated me about Tinkercad. I like the idea that it had the basic shapes and you didn't have to do as much of the geometry, I think, as you do with some of the other programs and some of the other figuring that you have to do. But I don't know if that helped with Onshape, if that freed me up to do more things with it. I still have a lot of trouble doing, if I was to design, um, if I was to design this, I would have a terrible time designing those curves. And I actually tried to do something simple like that, and I'm still not good at it in Onshape. So I don't have as much freedom to do that sort of thing. So I might rely on somebody else's so I'll look for like commercial versions that, can be sold. And I'll find something a little more fancy. So it'll just be being for this, it'll be getting the printing right. But for design, I curves still get me in on shape.
Yeah, that's why I use my 3D printer mainly for making windows, because you know Tichy makes nice windows if you have a you know, a building from 1850 into the, you know, maybe 1940s, but for like the modern storefront that I want on this, you know,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to have modern, you know, probably double pane windows in here, but if it's a square or rectangle, yeah, I can design that pretty easy in Tinkercad. But man, if you want something with a curve, not going to happen. Not yet. You know, I got to work my way up to it.
Yeah. You know. So yeah, and I think that's, you know, Jimmy, you're saying the same thing Bob's saying. You know, unless it's very complex or needs to mass produce it, making a one-off item, he's going to scratch build in that sense.
Oh yeah.
The guy, his name is Kim Rumble, and his username is Cab Rumble. I think it's just K for Kim, and A is probably his middle name. And he's on hey Bob, have a good night. Nice to have you in here. He's the one that designs, though. He designs a lot of stuff, and he doesn't ask for anything. He always says, hey, it'd be nice if there's a donation, but I'm not asking. I just do this for fun. And he does a lot. He did a lot of builds, and he's the one that does the DPM style stuff. And I tried to do a brick face. I tried to design a brick face, and it was terrible. And that'll take some practice. So something like that is something you can rely on him to do, and stuff. And but his, you know, you could build a whole city out of his stuff, and so and then, like you said, you can modify it. So like I did, like those windows, that's all I modified. And I actually printed like Star David on each one, and then a term like peace and love and on each one, and just glued them in and got them to fit and glued them in. And that's the measuring piece, which I'll never be good at. Folkster 19, welcome in. So let's see if there's any other comments that I missed. So I know if Tom's in the background, he's talking about 3D printing again. But I always go back to that. But again, I just want it to look nice, and I just feel like I'll get better over time. But for whatever reason, you give me a sheet of styrene and I can't cut a straight line. No matter how I tried, there's always something. Here's that's my styrene sheet there. I'm cutting little things out, and you can even, I don't know if you can see that, but I don't know how I did that. That was supposed to be a full cut, and it didn't fully cut. And here, those weren't straight cuts either. Excuse me. I don't understand why I have that problem, but I think it's a dexterity thing. I just don't have the dexterity with the knife. But Tom, you don't need to be jealous of 3D printers. They're just tools. You know, you were talking about the price of printers. The resin printers actually have been cheaper than the filament printers, mostly, that I've seen. And I agree. Like, I would love a resin printer, but I need space for the extra stuff. The resin printer is tiny compared to my Blue A1 is like twice the size of your printer. but you need space for the curing stuff, and you need to handle the chemicals, and you need ventilation. The ventilation's a big problem with our place, and so I don't feel comfortable having it here. So we'll have to move to our dream home someday, where it just I have my own room that vents outside.
Yeah. This
So-
one, when I first got it, I had it out in the garage where I had a little bit more space and I could vent it outside. But Anycubic has as non-toxic as it can be, I guess, a non-toxic resin. And when I moved it into the house, I haven't had an issue with it. Actually, I got it during the pandemic, and so I wanted to be able to wash my parts with isopropyl alcohol. Well, the price of that went crazy. I have a bunch of denatured alcohol from when I used to do painting, like house painting. So I used that, and actually the smell of the denatured alcohol was overpowering, more so than the resin. So they are making some strides in that as well.
Yeah, I bought years ago now. I was just buying alcohol in smaller bottles, and it was probably during the pandemic too, because they weren't around. And I got 99% alcohol because I was planning to strip some locomotive shells to paint them. And it turned out that I got this gigantic box, so I have a lifetime supply of alcohol now.
Yeah, it just got this quart the other day, and I think it was $3. It was crazy. This stuff was 99 cents.
Yeah,
it still hasn't come down.
So and Tom, it doesn't have to be another hobby. For me, it's a tool for Jimmy. He's making small parts, just the parts he needs. I'm making full cars out of them. I'm trying to, and making full buildings and things like that. The only part of it is just I'm trying to learn the CAD and be better at the CAD. But I don't consider it a hobby. I consider the other thing I practice the 3D printing on is like household needs. I have like an outlet cover where I just wanted a shelf there so I can put my phone there and plug it in and have it in the spot. Well, that was a perfect 3D printing thing. Where I have to my left, where I have my knives, all of my model railroading supplies, that's 3D printed and attached to a like Sterilite shelves, and that's just designed to make it easy for me to reach stuff. But I don't consider it like another hobby. If I was printing a whole bunch of other stuff or trying to design other stuff, maybe that becomes a hobby, but I'm really trying to focus just on the model railroading stuff and designing that. So, and they're like we said, there are some things that I'm going to need that I'm not going to be able to 3D print. And so that's me just preaching that it's just another tool. So, and there are the challenges that my mom makes me do every show. And I have a new project for her to do, but other than that,
well, it keeps you sharp.
So, yeah. I mean, and it's all about just I'll be better at this than with a knife. The one of the ones I'll never get is this guy.
The nibbler.
The nibbler. Every time I go to use it, you still have to get it straight when you're using it. So it'll be a perfectly square cut, but if you have it on an angle, it's going to be an angle cut. And so there's, again, dexterity and coordination are key. So, but they're all tools. So what I really like to do is find a way to either have an endless supply of drill bits or find a way to make these so they don't break, because that's again a thing for me is sometimes I'm too hard with when I'm trying to put a hole in something. I'm pressing too hard and I break them. And so for the first time I bought, like, I don't know, it's like a tube of 10 of them or something of one size, just because I know I needed that for a project and I know I break them. So, which means that's just more stuff. And then I got to find more room for stuff. So yeah, so like here, I needed these number 80s to drill. I think I was drilling holes for what do you call those, grab irons, and it was the car was a thick plastic, and I'm like, I'm gonna, I broke two of them like right away that I had, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go bite the bullet and buy this one's 12 pieces in this thing. And so,
well, in those small bits, you can't sharpen them, or if you are sharpening a number 80, you need to have your head checked. But as those dull, that's where they start grabbing, when that first cutting edge starts getting dull, and then that's where it catches and you get the torque and they break. So when they're fresh and sharp, man, they work nice. But if they snap on you, then it's well, obviously it's time to put a new one in, but that's probably why they're breaking. And sometimes there is some flex, and you may run into that a little bit. But
yeah. When I was first working on this, the styrene version of this, the actual car, the flat car, even though I got the advice on the crossbars to put the holes in first before you do it, I had forgotten one set of holes. And so I was going in, and you couldn't get, you couldn't get it flat in here, with this being so close. So you were bending them in. And so no matter what, if you went straight in, you're going to go down on an angle, and so your wire is going to go down, hit this area instead of going straight across. So I got the advice that you could try. They said it would take a while to do, but took some of the thicker piano wire that I had and put it in the drill. And it was long, and then you could press down on it, for instance, try and get it straight on the end. But you'd have to sit there and sharpen the end of the wire, and then it's just going to do nothing because it's flat on flat, even though it's really small. And it took a long time to do that. And when I went to 3D print, I put the holes in, and I was worried that I wouldn't get the holes the right, be able to do the holes, but I was able to do them. So these have the holes in them. So when I go to wire them, it won't be a problem. But that was a learning curve too. He's like, you could try it. He says, I did it, but it took a really long time, and it really hurt your wrists, which he was right. So, yeah. So, but that was an MMR giving me advice. He said that was Dave Hamilton. He said you should drill them first before you do that, and the directions tell you to drill them after it's all glued in. It's like, how did they do that? They didn't tell you how they did it. They're just like, oh, go ahead and drill that in. So, yeah. So, all right. So it looks like this was a success, that I could have people on, which was good, because even now my voice is going and I'm still not completely better. And I appreciate you and Tom coming on, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and shut it down at this point. And I appreciate everybody being here, and remember to always jump in and try something new. And just like I did with painting figures, when you helped me paint figures at Skills Day, I painted my figure. You saw my dexterity there, by the way, as I'm shaking. So this guy's got streaks on him.
Is it?
Yep. So anyway, so appreciate it, and everybody have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.